Hi, this is Greg Lewis. This is City Manager here in your city of Lebanon, and welcome to Lebanon in Depth. I am very, very excited about our program today because I want to welcome. I talked to one of our corporate leaders in our community, Hypertherm, and we had a great conversation over at their place. And I asked them if they would come on the show, and they were kind enough to lend to me their director of corporate sustainability. And I have with me Jenny Levy. And Jenny, welcome to the show and welcome to Hypertherm. This is a great time for us I'm so positive about my visit to Hypertherm, and I'm so positive about our city of Lebanon making a change in course. So we have a lot to learn, and I think that the private has a lot to offer in terms of ideas and approaches to this 21st century, and our city is, of course, under the leadership of our city council, are dedicated to pursuing that. So I forewarned you that I always talk by having you talk a little bit about yourself and how did you get to the position, your title, and it's always interesting in life's paths how they just kind of they meander every which way direction.
Well, thanks for having me on and Hypertherm in to talk about our initiatives. I've been at Hypertherm for 8.5 years now, and I've been our Director of Corporate Social Responsibility for a year and a bit, and before that I was our Director of Environmental Stewardship for a couple of years, and prior to that I was our North American Marketing Director, overseeing the sales of all of our products and programs in the North American region. And prior to that, I had some sales and project leadership roles. So it's been a really wonderful, fast-paced 8 years at Hypertherm for me, but really being involved in these initiatives directly over the last few years.
That's great. I think I messed up the title because I always think of sustainability when I think of Hypertherm, but corporate social responsibility certainly is another great aspect and is part of sustainability. Today, I thought, when I talked to persons at your organization about learning about your vision, your strategic vision, and so I think we just probably open the conversation up a little bit, and if you could kind of share with us a little bit about Hypertherm's, the vision you have, the strategic vision of the organization.
Sure. We depict that in a slide that I gave you and we have here on the table together of our mission as a company, which is kind of multi-part mission. And the first part is really what we do, which is to provide our customers with the best high-temperature metal cutting products and services in the world. So just stopping right there, we make plasma metal cutting machines, laser cutting machines, and all of the consumables that go along with them, as well as providing the service for those machines and for the end users of those machines globally. So 2/3 of our sales are outside of North America and 1/3 are here, but we make almost everything here in Lebanon and in Hanover, New Hampshire. So that's the what we do, but what's compelling about our mission in my mind is really why we do it. And why we do it is the next part of that statement, which is to promote the well-being and development of our associates. We call employees at Hypertherm associates.
Oh, that's a nice term.
We think it's a better term.
It's a better term. Yeah, it shows where things, instead of being vertical or horizontal.
Definitely.
I mean, because I always had to think about, I come from a family of blue collar type folks. Mm-hmm. My father's a truck driver. My mother was a cook at a school. But every role was important. I think everyone taught. Our family that was the teaching that all roles are important, and the parity and equity among persons that we work with every day is extremely important. And the recognition, even though somebody says, "Well, that's just put a label on associates," I think that's awfully nice. I mean, I think that is those types of ways of looking at ourselves, because what we name things are really what we are, and having associates might seem simplistic to some, but to me I think it says a very definite message on your views with regard to the persons that become associated, and I love being associated with Hypertherm. So that's nice, and I noticed that when I was in the workplace, that the type of I really have intuitively, when you go into an area and you start just go in and you're there, and how do people come at you? What's the thing going on here? I had people pick up and kind of their antennas when I walked in the room, just in the entryway. I had people, making eye contact, interfacing, saying something to me, acknowledging, and they're listening to what I'm saying back. I saw some active listening among the persons, and that was just walking through the door in a Hypertherm. So that's pretty interesting about your associates.
Well, I'm glad you felt that way, and it's very observant of you of our culture. That is a big piece of our culture around kind of equal sharing and shared rewards and shared values, which is actually part of kind of other parts of our vision here. But as I was saying about the mission, this kind of why are we there, to promote the well-being and development of our associates, and those are our global associates. We have almost 1,100 here in the Upper Valley and a few hundred globally, so those are for all of our associates. And then the last part of the why of our mission for Hypertherm is to enrich our communities and environment. So that is, we really see that as a key piece for why we exist as a company. So promotion of well-being and health of all of our associates, and then enriching our communities and environment is kind of why we do what we do.
And I did hear profit in there.
Well, profit's a
Where
part
went
of
the profit?
Well, profit is always a part of it. I mean, we have, we keep in mind a triple bottom line type of approach where you're taking into account, of course, profit and people and the planet. And that's a piece of our philosophy as well. We have shared rewards at Hypertherm, so our associates are shared owners of our company. We have profit sharing at the end of the year. We have a stock ownership plan that's a retirement vehicle for all of our associates to gain shares and ownership in the company. So we are a very motivated group around not just the short term of profit today and this year, but the long term in terms of the strength and resiliency of our company decades out, which is important to every associate at Hypertherm.
That is such a nice way of thinking about it. I know over the years in local government, my work, and in particular to kind of culminate in the opportunity to be here in Lebanon and work with the City Council, and when we talk with the Council about what we're about, we talk about people, and we talk about place, and we talk about tools. And people come first, and people should come first. And when I listen to the vision as it's expressed by Hypertherm, that just the commonality of that. Although I think Hypertherm is I think the kind of effort that's gone in to developing that for you in cultural transformation in your organization is considerably along the curve farther than where we're at right now, for sure. But where we want to go, I think it does give kind of points that here's people thinking like this, and the place, and place is what is place, place is community, place is environment, and we look at that in the vision of the council about that Lebanon's the city of Lebanon is a very, very special place, and it's thought of and thought highly and valued, and that environment is highly valued, but balance is highly valued. Yeah. So that seems to be I think this is kind of like this simpatico of these two different tracks that these two sector leaders are going on, because Hypertherm is obvious to me a world-class leader, and then the city we're striving to be a leader. We want to be a regional leader. We want to strive to reach that echelon of recognition of leadership, not per se for that sake of that, but rather for the value of experiencing that here. So people experience here, that live here, and their residents here are stakeholders here, that they actually experience that. On the level of satisfaction, oftentimes it's wondered about. This world's pretty unsteady sometimes, right? It has been for a while, and doesn't seem to yet reach a point of where you could feel that we were kind of becoming more steady. And so there's lots of arrows going lots of different directions in terms of the movements that are going on right now, and that makes it really hard to live and work. And so the idea of you creating a vision where persons can associate together and feel comfortable about how they're living and how they're working. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what the city was trying to look at in terms of some of the things we're looking forward to. What's the satisfaction level with regards to the associates, with regards to their work and how they're feeling about the missions that you're on?
Well, we measure that formally once a year with a world-class engagement survey of all of our associates, and the results come back once a year from that one piece of data that puts us in a world-class level of engagement among our associates. And there are over 100 questions asked and answered by all of our associates about how they feel about our approach to the community and environment, about our approach to compensation and benefits, leadership, strategic purpose, fairness, ethics. And our associates have responded, and we track that every year and our progress in all of these areas. And those responses have come back as a world-class result, which is amazing to see and very rewarding. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that. But as you say, I think a lot of it is what's happening day to day. What are people doing and saying to each other? How are they treating each other? You know, our company was founded on a very strong principle, and it has come from Dick Couch since he founded it in 1968, around the sense and kind of philosophy of constancy of purpose. That we're not here to be fickle, we're not here to follow the flavor of the month or the flavor of the year, that with a constancy of purpose we can achieve truly great things as a company, and we already have. But to what you're saying before, it's nice to hear you think we're world class, and we are in many respects. But we are on a path, and that job is never done. So your job as the town manager is never done. My job as Director of Corporate Social Responsibility is never done in terms of improving and working on our own culture internally at Hypertherm, and then our outreach and enrichment, as we say, as part of our mission of our community and of our environment. So those constant efforts, we have a very strong culture at Hypertherm of continuous improvement, and that comes from quality, and that comes from productivity, comes from safety. We want a goal of 0 accidents across our organization. It comes from everything that we do, and that philosophy is very strong in every team. And we approach our environmental impacts the same way. Our community service, when I started at the company 8 years ago, the percentage of our associates using community service at that time was probably around 28-30%. A few years later, it got to about 42%, and we were getting very excited. 3 years ago, it was 60%. Last year, we made it to 78% of all of our associates here in the U.S. Contributing some level of volunteering time in the community. This year, we upped our benefit to be 24 hours of paid community service time per associate. So every Hypertherm associate's given 24 hours of paid time to serve in the community however they want. And our goal this year is 80% of associates serving the community.
That is so
and we're
cool.
And we're on track to meet that and hopefully exceed it. So we've already actually served 11,000 hours in the community this year. So that's a good example, I think, of engagement with each other. A lot of those projects are team-oriented. It's a really strong, I think, statement around our commitment to our mission of enriching our associates, because we hear back from associates what that does to them, to help them, for instance, go on a school trip or serve in a local nonprofit in Lebanon like David's House, or participate in the Proudy or the Chad Half. So
that's really wonderful. I mean, you know, they probably, I would think that they get, you know, as they probably express, they get more out of it than they give, even though the people that they're participating with in the team setting from the nonprofit world or other world of basically good works, they see the value of it. But I think that the value you get out of doing that in terms of your beliefs of life, because you know, well, you know, I can imagine what that would feel like. You know, it's probably intensifies the feeling of actually living fully, and probably, you know, it's mentally certainly rewarding by anything. And I think that it's kind of the emotional to show the care, and then, you know, it's kind of leaving a legacy. You know, they left behind something, and that something is, you know, ongoing. People will say, you know, this is what these folks came over and they dealt with this situation. You know, whether you're helping out on trying to housing issue where you're trying to do something, or you're helping a community event. That is really wonderful. I like the constancy of purpose that you're referring to earlier. Yeah. I'm a great fan of an author, Jim Collins, and Collins is into trying to figure out what makes people great, what makes organizations great, you know, and how you make a choice to be great, and that sort of thing. And you know, when you get into, I had opportunity to in several, I think 2 years ago, be in a small workshop with Collins. And then recently, I was a ICMA, which was the International City Manager Association, that I'm a credentialed member of, which I enjoy greatly professionally. And I went and did it by virtual conferencing because I didn't travel to Phoenix. It would have been pretty to go to Phoenix, but instead I did it at my desk.
Saved on your carbon footprint there.
I didn't. My carbon footprint was down, and. He talked about in his thing was he called fanatical discipline, and then he cited the Edmondson Scott race to the pole, and how that Scott would get up, and some days he was really the weather so bad they just would stay in encampment, and then another day he would just press and he would go 50 miles. But Edmondson would go 21 miles every day. He'd always do 21 miles every day. And Scott's expedition, unfortunately, tragically, was completely lost. And Edmondson finished and was the person to obtain the pole. And so the idea of everyone getting up every day and doing 21 miles, I think, is a very, very important conceptual thing when you say constancy of purpose, because your life will get better. And your organization will get better if we could all get up and do our 21 miles today and do it every day and get up. And there's 365 and while sometimes we'll be working in the public sector, but in our family lives, if we devoted ourselves to our family and our family time together with the same devotion of constancy of purpose, and if we give back to the community like your Hypertherm people are doing, their associates, showing commitment to the community and uplifting the community, and that's constancy of purpose. So I like that. I like that.
There's a balance in constancy of purpose and keeping people engaged and excited and challenged. And that's where our strong focus on associate well-being and development comes in, where we have learning going on every day at Hypertherm, whether it's online or in person. We have classrooms, we have teams of people focused on associate development and talent development, where people will state a career path that they'd like to follow, and people within our human resources area are really there to help people achieve those career goals. Our local investment at Hypertherm Technical Training Institute with the River Valley Community College just down the road at Mount Support Road is a great example of that. That's for our own associates, to keep them engaged and educated, and also to help people make a career change from, let's say, a retail job into an advanced manufacturing role at Hypertherm or anywhere else. So constancy of purpose, yes, but trying to keep it engaged, people engaged, the culture engaged, keep people well. That's where our fitness classes come in. We have fitness centers. We have a healthy portion and healthy servings in our on-site cafeterias. We have a on-site organic garden that our associates grow vegetables in, and sell those vegetables back to associates. So all of these angles of our culture are incredibly important, again, within the constancy of purpose, but to keep people, again, challenged, which is critical.
Well, that is just wonderful. This community is incredible. I mean, with people, with persons like the associates of Hypertherm, and then a world-class operation like Dartmouth Hitchcock Medical Center. When I met with them, I've been trying to meet with the community leading organizations and having good visits with them, and they talk about their new partnering with Mayo, and they talk about their wellness effort. And we offered up that one of our core goals as a city is for people to be sufficient. That is, that they need to have able to meet all their needs, their physical needs, their spiritual needs, their mental needs. They need to make the needs in terms of their legacy and the history of this community that this whole 360-degree wholeness and wellness, so that we eat well, we play well, and we have that wellness spirit, and we're in kind of our baby steps of wellness in our organization. But as I was leaving the office just shortly before I came here, our person in charge of wellness, we're talking about our latest wellness movement and providing the time for wellness and it's really good that it seems like you're so engaged as an organization and intensely engaged. You don't make it like, today we'll have wellness. No, it looks like it permeates what happens during a normal, regular Hypertherm work day.
Right. I mean, we echo the Hitchcock's goal of the healthiest population ever. We'd like to see that within our own associate population and our families as well. You're right, you need to get together with Patty Friedman, our wellness manager. We have a full-time wellness manager who oversees all of these programs, engages associates in creating a healthy and well environment, not just for associates at work, but also trying to engage families as well. We have an on-site wellness clinic. We call it the Hypertherm Associate Wellness Clinic, staffed with nursing and physician assistant staff from the Hitchcock. They have, I think, almost 49 hours of staffed time at clinics across all 3 of our shifts at Hypertherm, where people can stop by and get their blood pressure checked, do weight checks, have smoking cessation counseling sessions. They're engaged with, again, the entire associate, all of your well-being, because we want all of our associates to thrive.
And when you translate that back into productivity of value in terms of your product, because you want the best tool, cutting tool ever.
Yeah, we do.
Ever was, ever is, ever will be the best cutting tool.
Sure, why not?
So does it show? Does it show these efforts? Does it come back to show? I mean, because some people will jump me and say, "Hey, what's the bottom line, Louis? You're talking this talking, but what's the bottom line? Is it going to be improved city services? I mean, are we going to get more value? Are we going to be able to live in a very difficult era economically for some? Are we going to see the product we were willing to purchase from a city that was affordable to us? Is it going to meet up with what we have to have for strengths to survive in this era in the Upper Valley? How's it showing for you in terms of your productivity?
I mean, we are only as good as all of our people.
Yeah.
And so our people, we all want to be healthy. People fundamentally want to be healthy, I believe. And so investing in people's health and well-being is critical. If our associates are not well, then we as a company are not well.
Yes.
So it's fundamental in our minds that we are investing in health and well-being for our associates. You then do see that in happiness, ability to engage in their own lives fully. You then start to see it from other business metrics around absenteeism. People are able to come to work where they want to be, and they're able now to come to work as they are healthier and more well as a person, and engage in a culture that also embraces healthy principles is really important. We also, of course, this trickles through to insurance rates and things like that as well. But what matters the most to us is the 1,300 associates who are owners of our company, and how well they are and their families are is fundamental. It's critical.
We certainly see where your core values are.
Right.
And I think we ought to really, all of us, think about the core values you have, because they're rather universal.
Yeah.
And I think all of us could pursue them. It's just a matter of taking the discipline and persistency of that, constancy of purpose. And I guess that we have to look at things differently. We can't. It's not that we do things more with less at all. It's more that we're going to do different things that are more, well, they're creative, but they're also empirical. And so they're and then I think we are, good stewards. And I think those are really important to us. Now, your environmental sustainability dashboard, and that's where I kind of slipped up on the title, because I keep thinking, every time I look at Hypertherm, I think about environmental sustainability. In our last 3 minutes, I would like to maybe tackle a little bit of the environmental sustainability that you are pursuing, because it freaks me out. It's so impressive.
Well, one of our core values is environmental stewardship. And again, it's part of why we're here, is enriching our environment is part of our mission, as we already talked about. A few years ago, we really wanted to set some hard, measurable goals for ourselves and for the organization to really make a statement about how far and how fast do we want to go to reduce our impacts. So that was in 2010. We did a lot of baseline assessment of our impacts at that time. Where are our largest impacts on the environment? We really see that any business, if you want to be resilient and want to be strong for the long term, you must optimize your use of natural resources. That's the trend. The global trend is population is rising, energy consumption is rising, natural resource consumption is rising. So as a business or as a household, anybody, as you operate in an environment with greater demand for natural resources, naturally the supply of that is finite in many respects, and therefore the costs will go up as well. So we set these dashboards to be able to say to our organization and provide hooks to every one of our associates on how can they get involved and engaged in our path for environmental stewardship. So because we make machines that consume electricity in the cutting process, plasma requires electricity, we have a set of goals around our products, not just around making them 100% recyclable and properly reclaimed, but more energy efficient and reducing their carbon impacts. Because we make most of our products here in the Upper Valley and ship most of them globally, we have a set of goals around our logistics. And then finally, we want to become a zero landfill waste organization by 2020, so nothing going to the landfill at all. We want to improve our own efficiency in how we run our buildings and how we make our products by 30%. And then we want to have our carbon impacts relative to our sales as an organization by 2020 as well, because that means that we have gotten everybody engaged. We will be saving money when this happens. We'll be saving natural resources as well. And we need to reduce and do everything we can, all of us do, to reduce our impacts on the environment. So these are our goals to help kind of set that path for us.
Yes.
I hope we exceed them early so we can set new ones.
Absolutely.
But some of them are very aggressive.
You stretch, and then once you reach that point, you stretch some more.
Yes.
The stretching never stops.
Never stops, that's right.
That is really, really, really nice. And I think in our last couple of minutes, I do want you to, and then maybe we'll loop back and to see if there's points we should have touched base on. In your last slide, you kind of portray the corporate social responsibility, which is in your title and the annual report that you have, and you may want to comment on that.
Sure. One of the best practices that we've learned from other best practice companies with corporate social responsibility is to be transparent, to share your path, to show where you are on that path, to describe your goals, your initiatives, to show data in that process. So we now have published a 2010 report on corporate social responsibility, and that, as you'll see if you read the reports, encompasses our community engagement, so the service I was talking about earlier. It includes grants coming from our Hypertherm Hope Foundation, which gives grants to nonprofits in our community here. And then finally, it includes environmental stewardship initiatives like energy efficiency and some of the goals that we talked about earlier around our 2020 dashboard. So we've done that for 2010, we've done that for 2011, we will continue to do that every year. Our hope is to share where we are, try and learn from feedback that we get back from people. We read other people's reports and try and get information. I mean, these are big goals that we have. There are big problems out there we're trying to solve, and we need to share solutions as much as possible. So our report is a way to contribute to the global conversation.
That's really great. Jim Collins talks about everyone should have these big, hairy, audacious ideas. And I think Hypertherm has quite a few of them. As we have our last minute, I do recommend everyone to learn. Just learn some of this as we share. Like you say, you look at reports, others should look at reports. I think that people should take a look at your website, because that's fairly easy access. And I believe, if I was correct, it's www.hypertherm.com/CSR/ that's where you get in your
That's where the reports are. That's right.
That's where the reports are. So I went on there last night and had a great time going through the website. People should. And if you don't have a computer, go to our city public libraries. We have computers in both libraries, and we have librarians who I have I'm kind of sending them business. I said, if you don't have a computer and you want to, go to just talk to the library and say you'd like to learn about Hypertherm.
Great.
You'd like to do their website, and they will take you over to the computer and they'll help you work it up, and you'll get on the website, and all you do is stick a mouse and you can weave your way through the website and see, because I think it's an educational experience about conceptually a corporate leader. Now, I guess as we close, I like the fact that Lebanon's vision is to be a sustainable community.
Great.
And Hypertherm's vision is such a beautiful vision, and it's so compatible, and it's so wonderful that you're leading out there, and we're lucky enough to have you in the community. So that's really cool, and I guess I really appreciate it. There are a few things to say at the end. Any closing remarks or something you would like to bring up that you think people should know about Hypertherm that we haven't touched on?
I think we've touched on the key pieces of our culture, that our focus is on our associates here in this community, our associates globally that are all owners of Hypertherm. We care deeply about contributing to this community through community service, through Hypertherm Hope Foundation grants, through our contribution as an employer in this region. We're looking for people to help us in that path, obviously by joining our team, of course,
yes,
but also working with us on shared goals that the community has. We've already been involved in some City of Lebanon and Upper Valley regional kind of committees, and so we're really excited to be in this very engaged community around the environment specifically, and then just broadly around the vitality of our region is critical, and something that we hear from people who come and work at Hypertherm. They want to be here because you remarked in the opening around the balance that we have in this region is important.
It's very nice. Well, I'd like to thank Jenny Levy for being here with us today. The City Council of Lebanon have shared values with the values that the Hypertherm organization had and their associates have, and I think this illustrates that the private sector and the public sector and the nonprofit sectors, with your corporate responsibility at Hypertherm being shown and our engagement in the public sector to be supportive, we need to be supportive of you. And this is all really a part of the synergy of what makes a community great, what makes a community economically vital and environmentally sound. So thank you for today. Do take in the Hypertherm website and learn more about Hypertherm.
And thank you for having me on.
All right, it's my pleasure. It was a great moment for me to have you on and have Hypertherm here. Thank you.
Thank you.